guys, welcome to Helium 10's module on how to build a brand on Amazon. I'm super excited because I've been selling on Amazon for over a decade, and I've actually been building brands longer than that. These are just some of the people I've worked with. I've sold hundreds of millions of dollars on Amazon. I've launched and sold several brands. I've been spending the last few years working with celebrities and influencers to launch products and build their brands. So I guess I'm going to share with you some of the stuff that I do and use, and I know that works. So let's just dive right in. When I first started selling on Amazon, I had bought a course. It was several $1,000s, and we were taught to look for like keywords or products that were trending, and then we launched the products. And I was always like, that's not kind of how I want to do it. So the way I launch on Amazon or create a brand, I call it pick a person, or solve your own problem. So if you have an itch and you need to scratch it, there's probably other people that have that same itch. And so that's how I focus. I don't care about a spreadsheet. I don't care how many people are searching for it, because I can create demand for if I create something cool enough, and if it solves a problem that I'm having, I figure somebody else will want it too. So that's my first step in building a brand. And I guess I was telling you a little bit about myself is that I've sold hundreds of millions of dollars on Amazon and on direct-to-consumer websites. And I'm hoping that what I've learned over the past few years can help you in your quest to build a brand too. So when we talk about picking a person, I always say, who is your customer or your consumer? And you've probably heard this a lot now. Everyone's talking about it if you watch any YouTube videos. But when I first started in the marketing world, I had a marketing agency. And I was helping doctors, lawyers, and dentists, market their services to people. And it was always like, if you were a doctor who specialized in veins, and not only just, let's say you specialize in varicose veins, what if you even niche down further and you were the doctor that specialized in varicose veins, on the lower calf or in the ankle? You can get more targeted and direct with your marketing. And that's what we found. I had a doctor, I remember, in Vegas that was doing bariatric surgery. And we turned him into like the medical tourism doctor, because Las Vegas is like a destination place. It's very cheap to fly into internationally. People are coming there all over the world. And what a great place. If you're coming in, you can get a gastric sleeve. The next day, it's like almost outpatient, right? You can go gamble and do whatever else, see a show. You can just have this great time and turn it into a vacation. And so we built this huge YouTube channel. We did all this marketing around this whole like medical vacation, basically, where they could come from all over. They call it medical tourism. So that's what we did. And we turned him into one of the largest and most successful bariatric surgeons on the planet in the history of all mankind. And so these are kind of the background of what I was doing before I started launching products. And I just kind of took those concepts and applied them to products. So one of my first forays into physical products, I worked on a supplement company. And I remember when we first started, we were spending one weekend at the Arnold, which was like a big bodybuilding competition. And this supplement company had post-workout recovery shakes, pre-workouts, nighttime casein, stuff so that your muscles don't eat each other while you sleep. And we had all these products, and we were marketing to all these disparate groups. So like I said, one weekend bodybuilders, the next weekend we'd be at some jiu-jitsu convention, and then we'd be at like some collegiate rowing convention. And it was just like, we were all over the place. And there was this new sport that was up and coming, and it was out in California, and they were doing like these crazy workouts at this ranch. And we were like, what is this? And it's called CrossFit. I mean, now it's like everybody knows CrossFit. But back then it was a new sport. And it quickly became the fastest growing sport in the world. And we decided that we were going to go all in on CrossFit. And when we got that clarity and that focus, we were able to then build a brand around raving fans. And they became our raving fans because we talked about, we could get direct with our marketing. We could talk about, hey, grab our Progenix recovery drink before you go hit your WOD of the day. The WOD is what CrossFitters do. They don't do a workout. So you were able to use their language so that you could connect with the people. You would talk about going to the box, not the gym. So you do Fran and you do Grace, and the workouts had names. And so we then knew also what magazines we would advertise in. We knew what events to be at. No more were we, one weekend at the Arnold, the next week had some collegiate or Tough Mudder or Spartan race. We were at every single CrossFit event. We became the official supplement sponsor of the CrossFit Games. I knew where to advertise in the magazines. I knew what audiences to target on Facebook, on YouTube. So that kind of clarity, when you niche down and focus on one customer, it's beautiful. And it's how you really build a brand. It gives you a foothold into a market segment. So that's kind of what this misguided marketing, I think I used to have that for free on my website where people could go download it. I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the brands that I've worked with and partnered with and grown over the past. These will actually, the ones I'm showing you are just ones I did in the last year, when I say in 2023. Matt's Off-Road Recovery. This guy's a YouTuber. If you guys watch YouTube and you like Jeeps or like, towing people out of like hairy situations that they get themselves in, Matt's located in southern Utah out by the sand. It's like a state park, and people go out there and they think that I don't know why in the world they think that their 2-wheel drive Honda Civic can make it through the sand, but he has some pretty fun rescues where he's pulling them out. Long story short is most YouTubers only make money from their AdSense, which is the advertisements that play over their videos. I love working with YouTubers because A, they have an audience, and B, they usually have a really loyal audience that loves them and they'll buy anything that they make. And it's even better when you take someone who understands the audience and you create what I call the perfect product. For Matt, the perfect product is his recovery rope. And he was using, it's a rope, Yankum Ropes makes it, and it was like red, whatever. And we actually went to them and we just partnered and created this yellow rope, because these are his colors, right? And his banana's yellow. If you guys watch Matt's Off-Road Recovery, you know what we're talking about. But this did over $1 million on launch, this recovery rope. And then just from there, we understand the consumer, the audience, and it's really what Matt loves, because Matt is the audience. We created his straps, Matt's straps, because when he's rescuing vehicles, he pulls them out with the tow rope, right? And then straps them down if he needs to when he's towing them out onto the, I don't know, what do you call it, the bed of the truck that you're towing him out on. If you need to use a tow truck, you strap him down, or when he takes his ATVs out. So this was the next logical one. We worked with the Federal Aviation Agency that uses this. These are the same quality straps they use on cargo freight, so like they're the strongest straps on the planet. There's a great story there. We got Matt's gloves. When you go out the sand dunes at the national park or the state park, you got to have a flag on your ATVs. So we made Matt's Off-Road Recovery. These are just a smidgen of the products that we did just in the last year. The water bottle, this is a Carhartt jacket that I loved, and we knocked off and we turned it into Matt's coat. And these were all 6-figure, 7-figure launches. When I say you launch a brand, this presentation is really that I gave an event where I was talking about the power of stealing an audience if you don't want to have to create your own. And you do that by partnering with a celebrity or an influencer. Because when I first started selling on Amazon and D2C, I would have to build my own audience. And I've spent the last few years just partnering with people that already have an audience. It's kind of my hack to success. In addition to stealing an audience, when you're building a brand, I think one of the most powerful things you can do is create the story. And when you partner with a celebrity or an influencer, they usually have really strong ideas or opinions on what the market is missing. Or I can kind of help, coax it out of them. In fact, if you look here, this is John Malecki. He's a woodworker. He's one of my partners. And he has a really awesome YouTube channel. It's he builds like beautiful custom furniture. If you ever watch people make those like epoxy river tables and stuff like that, he made like a epoxy guitar for Jocko Willink. He used his jiu-jitsu belts in it. You just go to YouTube. You can Google all of them. They're super cool. Floating tables, all that kind of stuff. Well, when we first met, he was like, I want to do a physical product. All these YouTubers, they want another additional stream of income. Because like I said, it's like how as Amazon sellers, you're kind of in a precarious position. If Amazon shuts down your store, you pretty much lose everything if you haven't diversified, right? That's how YouTubers feel, especially in cancel culture. They spend all this time building this audience and their income stream is from AdSense. So if they were to get shut down, they don't have a list, they don't have any other income stream. So I work a lot with YouTubers because I love YouTube, but I also understand how to build multiple revenue channels. So he was like, hey, let's think about a product. And he was saying that, one thing he hated is his PPE, personal protective eyewear. When he is in the shop, they like fog up, they're uncomfortable, they're ugly. And so nobody ever wears them in the space. We call this the maker space, the woodworker space. So he's like, if I could create like sexy glasses, like Oakley, or he actually wears like the aviator style glasses in real life. He's like, if I could create a fog resistant and an anti-scratch resistant, and you have to have there's a OSHA certification too that these lenses would have to pass, then that would be super dope. And so that's what we worked on. It took almost 2 years to figure out how to create this material that would be OSHA compliant, would not fog and would not scratch. And these are the shop shades. We just launched these around Black Friday, and they crushed it. So all in the slide deck, or you'll see the URLs where you could go check out, the story, the website, and you can get more details on all of these. Currently, I'm working with the Huffs. This is Derek and Julianne. For those of you that like to watch Dancing with the Stars or into the dance culture, I mean, I guess Julianne's been in movies too, but these two are just incredible human beings. They're probably the most famous dancers on the planet. And we're creating a supplement line with them. And so it's really fun. And we're actually getting ready to launch this right as he comes off tour. We were going to launch it. It was slated to launch actually this month, but those of you that were following or had tour tickets know that his wife had a serious emergency craniectomy in the middle of the tour. So that was postponed. So we're resuming the tour in May, and then we'll be launching. So that's going to be exciting. So if you want, I think in this slide deck, you can scan the QR code. You can follow him on social media. You can start to see we're already teasing out content as we build this brand and we lead up to the launch. So it's super exciting. In fact, I'm flying out in a couple days to LA. We're filming some of the manufacturing process. We're doing some of the flavor testing. And it's kind of like Paulo Costa's, how they did the secret juice. If you follow UFC, if not, go Google that. It's been like, it's a great way to get people like super curious and following and leading up to a killer launch. All right. Now, this is Patrick Connolly. He's a big YouTuber that does like first-person shooter games. So I partnered with him. He wanted to create like the world's most incredible mouse pad, and I'll tell you more about it as we get there. This is one of my first Kickstarters I ever did with Bikes and Beards. His name's actually Sean Kerr. He has one of the largest motorcycle channels on YouTube, and we created the Fast Detailer. It's like one thing does everything to clean a bike. On a motorcycle, everything's exposed, like the leather, the and not the engine, but like the chrome. What other parts are on? There's plastic parts and components, and he wanted a way to fast detail his bike. And he also sells bikes. So this was a product born of that. He was sick of having you have to go watch the video he made because it will really drive it home. But he had buckets of if you've ever detailed a car, you've got this is what you clean the leather with. This is what you clean the plastic with. This is what you clean, the metal parts. He's like, no, I need to be able to quickly clean my bikes and have them look awesome. So we created the Fast Detailer. And you already know about Matt's Off-Road. And who else here? Oh, this is Athena Power Tools. We'll talk about this. We decided we'd launch a really awesome brand for women that was strong enough for a man, but made for a woman. Because if you look at the female power tools out there, especially go on Amazon, they're like junk Chinese drills that are pink. And she actually builds houses, and builds real stuff. And she doesn't want a Barbie house, dream house toy that's, trying to front as a drill. She needs stuff like DeWalt quality, and that's what we created here. This actually took 2 years to develop as well, because trying to get a Tiffany blue sparkle and cheetah print handle and all that jazz was actually really difficult with the molding. Okay, and I think this is Dr. Ekberg. We launched some supplement lines together, and this is the first one that we did that was a 7-figure launch. It's his electrolyte. And you think, does this space need another electrolyte? And we'll talk about how we were able to position ourselves and differentiate this product so that it sold millions of dollars. Okay, cool. Let's see what else. Oh, let's not spend time. We have a time limit. We can't talk about all the products and brands. So, okay, make sure you nail the branding because sexy sells. So what is your story? I think I started to tell you about Athena Power Tools. This is Natalie Callahan. Like I said, she has one of the larger DIY channels. Do it yourself. And she's super big on empowering women. You can do it. You're powerful. That's her whole thing. So I was I used to teach history years and years ago, 20 years ago. That was what I went to college for, but it doesn't pay very well. I mean, you change lives, but if you want to make a lot of money, you got to go into marketing. So I went into marketing and I started, I threw back to my history and I was like, Rosie the Riveter. When I knew that this was kind of going to be our theme or the story behind how we told the Athena Power Tools, I was like, you've got to be Rosie the Riveter. And so if you guys know World War II, this was a war propaganda poster because all the men went off to war and the women had to fill the jobs in the factory. I won't turn this into a history lesson, but this is what she's dressed up here as. So go Google Rosie the Riveter and then you'll understand this. So even the name Athena Power Tools is perfect. And I'm actually going to tell you a story about the trademark on Athena because we just last week ran into a snafu. But this is the Lady Jane drill. Now, this is a whole power tool line built for women. And I don't think this picture does this drill justice. I wish I had one right here in my hands I could show to you, because it's actually even more beautiful than this. It almost makes it look like a toy, but there's this beautiful sparkle inside that paint job that looks amazing. And then this is like a Louis Vuitton bag that we knocked off and turned it into the tool bag that actually carries it. So it's all really, really beautiful. And I thought about, what if we named all of the power tools that we create in this line after powerful women in history? So the first product that we created is the drill. And if you think about all the powerful women named Jane in history, like, there's Jane Goodall, there's Jane Austen, Jane Eyre was a great book. And there's a lot of good Janes in history, and we have an insert that talks about, all the awesome Janes. And so each product that we launch in this line, when we do like the miter saw, the sander, I think the nail gun, they're all going to be named after powerful women. And that kind of plays into the branding and makes it like, so this is super irresistible brand. And that's the story behind it, is that you are powerful. When you use Athena Power Tools, you'll be powerful. We're empowering women. And it's not at the expense of men. That was something that was really important in this space. And it seems like lately, as we try to elevate women, that there's this tendency to push down men or make men, like they're stupid or whatever. And that's not at all what Athena Power Tools stands for. We are all about like men and women are both awesome. And it's just like, we want women to know, like, you can build a house, and these are the tools. We will make real powerful tools for you to do that, and not just like some cheap, I don't want to keep saying cheap Chinese drill, because Chinese can actually make really nice drills, but I'm talking about the ones you find on Amazon by a bunch of Chinese sellers that are really terrible quality. Okay. And then also too, the design on this it's made for a woman's hand. If you've ever held like a man drill, we call it the man drill. If you have smaller hands, they're heavier, and you can't really get a woman's hand around it. So just those attention to detail, where the drill is lightweight, but it still has a lot of torque and power, and it's better suited for a woman's hand. It all becomes part of the story. Okay, this is Dr. Ekberg. And again, these slides are linked, or I'll give you the URL so you can go watch the story. All of them tell the story of why they created their products, and it's super compelling. So Dr. Ekberg, he is like a natural wellness chiropractor. He has a big following. He's always doing tips like, why you shouldn't eat sugar, or why keto is good for you, or, if you eat butter for 30 days, what happens? Well, a lot of his followers too are intermittent fasters, or people who do extended fasting. And so when we decided that we wanted to enter the electrolyte space, it was because he had a formulation that he wanted to create in the electrolyte space that would help people that fast. It's good to go without food, according to him, for extended period of time every now and then, because it has a lot of great benefits that I won't go into right now. But he talks all about it on his website. And so his formulation is perfectly formulated for those types of people that are fasting intermittently or for extended periods. So see how we niche down, because we're not trying to compete with Element or hydration or liquid IV. And everything also in there, his other selling point and part of his story is that it passes muscle testing. Now, most of you people probably don't know what muscle testing is, unless you're into like natural wellness and you go to like chiropractors who do that. You're not his audience. But the people that are his audience know exactly what that is, and that's super important to him. So it needs to be part of the story, right? Okay, and then we already talked about the shop shades. Just look how sexy this is. I'm showing you too, like how beautiful, again, sexy sells, and safe is sexy. That's why, we had to make the glasses look good, because then people will wear them. And actually the best testimonial is that John can tell you, and that everyone in his shop now is wearing their PPE, which is their personal protective eyewear. All right, this is the mouse pad that we created, and the story behind it, which is what Patrick wanted, was I didn't realize that esports was like seriously such a sport. I mean, I knew esports was growing and stuff, and it's considered a sport, but I always kind of thought it was a joke. Kind of like how I play pickleball, and I get teased all the time that it's not really a sport. Which I can maybe agree that if you're like 90 years old and you have knee braces and you're like completely out of shape and you can still be really good at it, maybe it's not a sport. But that's kind of how I felt about video gamers. I'm like, that's not really a sport. But when Patrick explains it, it's like, okay, maybe it is. Like the material on the surface of the mouse pad actually matters. Like when you're playing, I I guess, 8 hours in a tournament of video games, you can get abrasions on your arm from the material on the mouse pad. Also, if the surface isn't just perfect, if you're like a FPS gamer, which is a first person shooter, your flicks can be slower. Like it can really, mess up your game and affect you. So this is the premium hybrid surface, and it goes into like all of the selling points, the story that he tells, why he created it. Super powerful. I'll link to the video so you can watch it. But that's what you're looking to do when you're creating a brand and a story, is you're trying to position your product as a leader in the space while also currently depositioning the competition. And you do that by a really good story and talking about the why you created your product. And the why is usually centered around because, hey, I had this problem and nobody else was filling it. And I saw this hole in the market and I wanted this and I made this for me. So people like me could have this, and the people that like you are usually like you and they want it too. Okay. This was originally what we started out with. Humankind was the name of this brand that we were launching that I told you about, the supplement brand. But just so you know, we ran into some trademark issues. And so we've changed the name to VitalKind, and I don't have the new logo in this slide deck, but you'll see it if you get on social media because we're starting to like leak it out. But it's going to be VitalKind because we couldn't get that trademark overseas. So, okay. And I don't want to spend too much time on this because it'll take me forever. But if you follow, I don't know how you can follow this journey besides go follow Jarek and Julianne on Instagram so you can start to see. And if you follow me on Instagram, I'm not nearly as entertaining as these people, but I'll start leaking out next week when I'm in LA. You'll start seeing some stuff that we're going to leak out. Okay, cool. All right. So when I build these brands, whenever I build a brand, when I launch, I always got to have a great VSL. And that's, it stands for video sales letter. And that's where you can actually tell the story, and you can chop it up into short form, long form, but really dialing in and nailing your story is like, the founder story is super important. And that's all I do for a launch is I have a really great, a VSL and a website. And, if they already have an audience, I'm going to email the audience or SMS them, get them on a live stream, let them know that it's launching. I like to actually show the work as we're creating the product. I like to bring the audience along with us so that they feel like they've been there for the whole journey. Sometimes we get the audience involved. Sometimes we don't. It depends on how the creator wants to do it with the audience. I find success with both. People will always say, people want to be involved. Yeah, they do, but also we're like pack animal creatures. They want to be led as well. And so I can't say one way works better than another. Usually with your audience, you can tell which you've done, with your personality thus far. If you've just always been kind of showing them what you made for them and asking them to buy, then keep doing that. But if you've been like leading your community by what do you call that? Like a democracy, then continue to do that, right? It's the connection that the creator has with the community that really matters. And if you're building a brand there, from scratch and you're not a celebrity, you can build an audience just like these YouTubers and these celebrities and influencers have done simply by, talking about the things that you're passionate about and showing your work. And if you want to get the audience involved as they follow along on your journey, you can, or you can just show them, here's what I made for you. I mean, think about it. Elon Musk didn't ask the audience how to make his Tesla, right? And neither did Steve Jobs. They worked on it as a company and presented it to us and was like the unveiling, here it is. But you can look at a lot of people that are building things in public and they're doing it with their community. So no right way, do whatever the heck you want. These are linked. I don't know if Helium 10 will have that in the members area for use, but go watch the videos. Like you can click on them and you'll get to see the landing page. So this is I'm glad this popped up. If you've never seen a river table, this is what it is. Like, how cool is that? I think that's what Bradley always says. How cool is that? Anyhow, this is beautiful. This is what he makes. But this is like the landing page. When I say have a really good video and a really good landing page. So, feel free to look at these. These are all that you're going to see today that I linked to are all done 6 and 7 figures, on their launches. So no need to reinvent the wheel. If you're like, how do I make a high converting website? Go ahead and knock this off. You'll start to see my formula. And a lot of these too, we do as pre-sales. Some we already have product in when it's the first time I'm usually working with a YouTuber or an influencer and we don't know what the demand will be, we'll do a pre-sale. when it's, or if it's super expensive, like the Athena power drill had a lot of molds. It was expensive to get off the ground. We did a pre-order. All right. This one, we didn't really need to do a pre-order, but we did. Okay. So that's that one. And in fact, let's just show you a few more while we're here, because I do think having a beautiful website always helps. So this is Unleash Your Inner DIY Goddess, Meet the Athena Drill. So you can see the video sales letters. You got to watch them. They're so fun. And then, yeah, that's a great little website here. Okay. And hopefully you can see all these. Oh, I'm taking you to the Kickstarter page. So I've since done other Kickstarters. I love Kickstarter too. There's just certain products you can't launch on Kickstarter, like supplements. And I do a lot in the supplement space. But we did this one. I have mixed feelings about Kickstarter too. I think that if you already have your own audience, probably wouldn't drive them to Kickstarter, because we were hoping that driving the audience there would, we'd hit the trending page and then we'd get all this organic traffic. And I have to tell you, we did hit the trending page. We hit it in like 15 minutes because we sent so much traffic, but it didn't really, I saw like a 5% additional lift from organic. So why give up you actually give up 8% when you use this platform in fees, and it didn't really generate the return. And Sean, we could have just driven them to a website, but I wanted to try it, and I'm doing another Kickstarter too in a different space, and we'll see how that goes. But anyhow, this is the Kickstarter page, so you can see it. I'll have the video and I'll show you how we did the sales page. Just again, I learn by seeing an application, so I always find it really helpful when someone says like, here's the product detail page, or here's the landing page, and it's high converting. This is a PDP for the mat straps. You can see the video. I think I linked here because the video is right here that I wanted you to be able to see. So you can watch that video there. And then the Ember Edge, you can check out the mouse pad. And all of these have additional products that are getting launched. Like this is just the beginning of a high-end premium gaming brand, right? The Ember Edge. Like they'll have, I think the mouse is coming out next, and a keyboard and a chair and a headset. So just, keep your eyes peeled. And if that's your thing, you can follow along. And then this one, we're launching supplement number 2. Actually, I can't tell you what it is, so I don't want to ruin the surprise, but they'll be launching in like probably 4 more weeks, supplement number 2. So you can watch his video and you can see his high converting website. Okay. So enough about that right there. Let's keep going. Okay. The super strategy. So when I'm building a brand, I like to talk about tiny touches. And anytime I can build virality into my product or delight and surprise the customer, that's where I really feel like it gives me a competitive advantage. Because think about it, the cost to acquire a customer, it's expensive, right? And so that's why you need to have a strong back end where you're either selling them more of what you just sold them or additional products. Because if you don't have an audience and you have to build a brand from scratch, the numbers are going to be hard to make work and for you to be profitable. So engineering in virality, which means you make things that delight and surprise the customer so that they'll talk about your product to other people. Because all you need for something to go viral is for one person to buy it and they have to tell one other person about it. Think about it. That's exponential. It just goes on and on forever. And so you invest a little more upfront in creating a wonderful killer product, and it will market on and on and on and on and on. So that's how I try to think about it. So I call them tiny touches. And this is an example of one of the gloves that we made for Sean Kerr, the Bikes and Beards. And his audience, this is where knowing your avatar and your consumer is super important, because then you can delight and surprise them. His audience is like gung-ho, love America, USA, all the way conservative. Like you can peg him, like just think Duck Dynasty, if you remember that show. That's like the same type of audience here. And same with Matt's Off-Road Recovery. Very much this type of guy. So this is a surprise. This isn't shown anywhere. And they ordered their glove and the inside has the American flag in it. And just that got people, when they bought the glove, posting about it, showing everyone how cool is that, right? That's the sentiment. And then also I was like, wanted to do it in a lunchbox tin, something that they would keep for the packaging. Most people just throw things in like a poly bag when they sell on Amazon. And I was like, how do we make this a cool experience and something that they'll hang on to? And it would just make them so happy that they'd want to review the product. I don't have to ask someone to leave a review. I can make them so freaking happy that they want to go write a review because they're like, these guys were so awesome. And little details like wrapping it in tissue paper. When we created this brand, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if in the brand guidelines, like whenever we have imagery of motorcycles, it's in first person view. So this is what first person means. I always wanted everything to be like you're the writer on the adventure. And so I was very purposeful in designing that. That's the kind of stuff, another tiny touch that people, it's not like someone could maybe explain that why they love M1 Moto, but these little consistent things that they see over and over again makes it feel really high-end premium and like, this is so cool. Brands that do this really, really well, Patagonia, like North Face, Cotopaxi, I'm naming all my outdoor favorite brands, but Tesla, Apple, they have such tiny attention to detail or attention to tiny details. You don't know why it's awesome, but if someone were to sit here and tell you what I'm telling you, then it all makes sense. Like, oh, okay, they're strategically like using first person view anytime they've got like motorcycles in it. So cool. I didn't know that, but I just knew this feeling that I had when I saw it. It's always just so cool. Apple's always like minimalist and super clean in everything they do, right? The less is more approach. So you can always like know when you see something that's Apple-esque, right? Okay. With Athena, a tiny touch, we have a lot of them. There's so many ways, and this is why I want to give you a lot of examples, because I feel like the more examples that you see, the more apt you may be able to apply it to what you're doing in your space. So just like the cheetah print, like look at us, we're wearing cheetah print as we do the launch. This is a live stream where we announce to our audience what we've been working on. They've been getting like little drip content for the past 2 years about something she's been working on. We'd drop Easter eggs is what we'd call it. But this was the great unveiling where we started selling. It came in a Tiffany blue box. If any woman here or man has been to Tiffany's, we know how much a woman loves a Tiffany blue box because what's inside, right? And then, the making of the drill, it's cheetah print handle. We tell the story. We show the Louis Vuitton bag, this leather, and then inside nobody knows about this until we didn't tell about this on the live stream. I'm just telling you guys, when they order the drill, they open it up and we have a charm bracelet. And my idea was that if with every tool that we launch, there's a different charm with one of Natalie's like words that she always says. And one of the most things she says at the end of every of her videos to the women is like, you're more powerful than you know. And it fits perfectly with, our theme of the Athena Power Tool. So they're going to get this bracelet, or they get this bracelet with the first charm. And then, we tell the story about why Athena Power Tools, why it's the Lady Jane drill, and then why the charm, and how they can collect all the charms, and I don't know, will someone buy, the sander and the nail gun just because they want to add to their charms? I think maybe, but more so I know that they won't consider buying another sander when they have the option of buying an Athena sander, because they get the charm, they get the story, they get to feel empowered, they get to feel like they're supporting Natalie, and they love the brand. Like this, it's a movement, right? We're creating this community of powerful women. You're beautiful is another one, and then the nail gun. I can't remember what one we decided we're doing with the nail gun next, but we have a charm for every product that we're launching in the line. Okay, and then Matt's off-road recovery, just so you don't think it has to be something expensive. And like I said, those charm bracelets were not expensive to include. When you're spending $200 on a drill, what's a $5 surprise in there, right? But if you don't have like a ton of money, or your product's like smaller price, these Velcro patches that we do for Matt's off-road recovery and these decals, people go bonkers over them. We throw them in the packages and it's a delight. It's a surprise. So it can be something that easy, something that cool. Okay. And I won't go over, this is just another launch, something cool we're doing. Got a lot of examples here, but to wrap things up, like if you're new and you're just getting started and you're thinking, how can I apply this to my brand? Well, think of the audience. I don't care about your spreadsheet and your keywords, because I don't want you to end up having an Amazon store that, you've got umbrellas that you sell over here, garlic presses over here, a desk, pen holder over there. That's not a brand, and there's no ascension strategy. And as you try to build something that somebody wants to buy and that has value in a list of people that all like the same thing, and you're, telling a story, what kind of story can you weave about that? And what is compelling? You're basically just participating on Amazon as a flea market seller. And good luck competing right now. Amazon is actively courting the manufacturers directly. And if you don't have a brand or a story, people are just going to buy whatever's the cheapest, right? And I don't ever want to be, that's my brand. I don't want to be the low price leader. I want to build products that are beautiful, awesome, and they fill a need, and there's a compelling story and a reason why. Because that makes loyal, rabid, raving fans that will come back and buy again and again and again. And you have that crystal clear vision and focus on, oh, I make products for CrossFitters. And so you know what kind of products you're going to make next. And then you can build out what I call a strong back end so that you can afford to spend more on a cost to acquire a customer, because you know that you may break even or maybe even lose money when you sell them that first product, but they're going to come back and buy your second product or your third product. We call them upsells and cross sells because you made them for that type of a person. So just think about that. I just did a consult the other day and I was meeting with this genius creator. He makes toys and they're phenomenal. And he's just been launching and selling toys on Amazon, and there's no overarching brand. And so in the consultation, we talked about how can we turn this into a brand? Because every person that's bought, this poop emoji pen that makes farting noises is perfect for your poop emoji plush doll that is the dog toy, and then your poop emoji eggs that you make for Easter, and your Santa Claus reindeer toy. There's a theme here that we can create so that we can build an asset that's actually a business that you can go to another company and be like, hey, this is X, Y, and Z toy brand. This is our line. Here's all our customers. Here's how we have an email sequence that upsells them. Here's how we capture their information off Amazon. Like, they had no insert strategy. They had no way to turn their shoppers that were finding them on Amazon into an asset, a list that they could market to. A true e-commerce brand, I don't know if you know this, but 30% or greater of their revenue will come from their push notifications via email and SMS. So that list is highly valuable. And I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in just buying an Amazon brand. I want something, or a person who sells products on Amazon. I want a brand, because a brand's an asset. So when you start with who is the person that you're going to be building products for, because it influences the logo that you're going to choose. Because if you're going to decide that you're going to make products for CrossFitters, then you're going to have a logo that speaks to that audience. All of these slides that I showed you, where I'm working with these influencers and we're creating a brand, we understood the audience before we created the name of the logo. It's so much easier to begin with the end in mind so that you're connecting right from the get-go. Athena, that name, resonates perfectly with powerful women who are trying to achieve amazing things, right? This M1 Moto for motorcycles, that's a fits, right? So the colors, everything from there builds. You've got to lay that foundation first. So if you find yourself, you're brand new and you're just getting started, this is awesome, because you're going to build the foundation right from the beginning. You're not have to go back in and do some, scrape it down and remodel. If you're somebody who came into Amazon and you did the old method where you're selling umbrellas over here and then a kite over here, and it's kind of a mess, try to look for themes. How can I pull this together? What kind of person, or how can I create a story or a brand around all my disparate products? And if you can't, it's a huge stretch, start moving forward. It's the best time to plant a tree is today. Same concept. Moving forward, how do I build this out into a brand where I have a back-end ascension strategy and I'm making something with a story that resonates and that, we can build upon? And I think that probably covers everyone from where they're at, beginning right from the get-go, building right from the front, and those who are oh crap, I screwed this up. You never screwed it up. Think of how much I think education and information you know about growing a brand, not a brand, but growing sales on Amazon. Now just turn it into a brand. All right, so I'm really excited that you guys are here and that you are working with the best software on the planet. Helium 10 is still the tools I use and recommend with all of my brands, all of my companies. And you're in the right place. This is the best education you're going to get on how to sell on Amazon. And I'm so excited to see that they've included this most important topic about how to build a brand.